Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another video. We're just 4 days away from the Andor Season 1 finale, and as a show I must say it's gotten me more invested than I ever could have imagined when it was first announced. We knew the potential was there, but it exceeded all expectations, and so when I started hearing about the series in the months leading up to it, I kept telling you guys, do not sleep on Andor, because it sounded like it was going to be the best Star Wars show yet. And now that we've had 11 episodes and we're just days away from the finale, I stand by that statement. What's made the show so great is the structure being so different to the regular Star Wars formula. It doesn't depend on fan service, the Force, cameos, or anything like that, and every new character is so fascinating with their individual quirks, their mysteries, developments, and so many unexpected twists along the way. Over the last 11 weeks, we focused a lot on and put emphasis on Cassian, Melshi, Mon Mothma, Cyril, Dedra, and Luthen, but one character I feel deserves a deep dive is Kleya Marquis, the assistant to Luthen, both in their public-facing front as antique vendors on Coruscant, and also in their rebellious pursuits behind the scenes. Throughout Season 1, we've seen a somewhat multifaceted Kleya, but what's been made very clear at two distinct points in the season is that she's just as hardcore and invested as Luthen is. She understands the risks involved, but is also ballsy and courageous, while also knowing how to be decisive when faced with challenging decisions. In Episode 7, she shows how far they're willing to go for the rebel cause, when she demands that Vel kill Cassian. She didn't want Luthen living in his head, and later in Episode 11, she gives a small speech to Vel outlining how much she sacrifices on a daily basis. To sum up Kleya in 3 words, according to StarWars.com, she is an emissary, a messenger, and vigilante. She also embodies the more gritty side of rebellion, the side we didn't see in the original trilogy. And in many ways, Luthen and Kleya are very similar to Saw Gerrera, at least in terms of their perception of rebel purpose, but I don't think they're as impulsive as he is. They're much more calculated. But as we've seen, they're willing to get the job done, even if it means sacrificing a few people, all necessary cogs for the greater good. But with the amount of theories ramping up about Luthen ahead of next week's finale, I very much think it's worth investigating Kleya, because I came across some very intriguing theories surrounding who she might have been. But I will say, my dear Meglorians, none of these characters need a backstory that ties into familiar characters or concepts in the Star Wars universe. They are well written in and of themselves, but as Star Wars fans, we can't help but to speculate and theorize, and that's what we're going to do today. Now, when I did my full episode breakdown for Daughter of Ferrix, I shot down the theory that Kleya is Leia. It's just not the case. I think that theory is ludicrous. It holds absolutely no weight. But one theory I am a fan of is that Kleya might have once been one of Padme's handmaidens. One Easter egg thrown into Luthen's gallery that we've seen twice now is Padme's headpiece from Attack of the Clones, and maybe it's foreshadowing of sorts. Kleya once might have been amongst the handmaidens. Now, the only problem with this theory is there's nothing concrete to base it on. And while the name Kleya might just be a pseudonym, if it is her real name, it doesn't follow the typical style, the typical endings of the names of Padme's handmaidens like Sabe, Rabe, Dorme, Verse, and the like. But there are some things which could make this theory plausible, notably the fate of the handmaidens after the Clone Wars and how it connects to Bail Organa and therefore the early rebellion. The one we know the most about is Sabe, and she went on to be part of the early rebel cause, even working out that Vader was Anakin, and she suspected he might have had something to do with her death. Sabe was very close to Padme when she was still alive, and it wouldn't surprise me if Kleya was part of that early network that was interested in finding out the real cause of Padme's death. By this time, the handmaidens were part of a rebel cell called the Amidalans, a group comprised of people devoted to seeking justice for Padme, and in the process, trying to kill Darth Vader. My theory is that somehow along the way, they might have gotten involved with Luthen and his inner circle, and maybe Kleya branched off to work with him personally. It might sound far-fetched, but it's certainly plausible. Now, the known handmaidens to be part of this movement are Sabe, Sache, Erite, Yane, and Rabe. For all we know, apart from Sabe of course, Kleya might be one of these. And if she were once part of the handmaidens, her motive would make more sense, being directly anti-imperial, but more specifically, anti-Vader. Just some food for thought, and it kind of relates back to my Luthen theory that he knows Palpatine's secret. Check out this video if you want to hear my full thoughts on this. But just to reiterate guys, no connections need to be made. These characters as standalones are wonderful in and of themselves. But as Star Wars fans, we love a bit of fun speculation, so those are just a few of my thoughts. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree or if you disagree. I'd love to hear your theories on Kleya. And so now, my dear friends, let's talk a little bit about the Mothma family. I want to kind of explore the dynamic between them, not just Mon and Leida, but also Mon and Perrin. At first glance, their chilly relationship might seem like a well-off marriage of convenience. They don't love each other, and Mon doesn't have to deal with divorce politics. In fact, everything she does as Senator Mothma is pretty much a mask. The only person in the family who knows the true Mon Mothma is Vel. The dynamic in the Mothma household is nothing short of dysfunctional. Perrin is very close with his daughter, but Mon's relationship with him is very prickly. She tries to be warm to Leida, but Leida naturally takes her father's side. There is this big barrier between Mon and her daughter. Something that really needs to be said is that Leida is just a typical 13-year-old, a contrarian who just wants to go against her mother's wishes. I've seen people say things like she's evil or twisted, but that's just not true. She's just a teenager, hormonal and dramatic. It's why, like many teenagers, she's embracing the very thing her mother stands against, in this case, traditional Chandrilan customs, including arranged marriage. The tragedy is that Mon sees what Leida can't at this age, that she's walking into the same trap that she did when she was younger, the same lifestyle where every decision is made for you, you have to conform and just play a role. Given Mon's financial situation and the problem she's facing with the Empire cracking down on bank accounts, there'll come a point where Mon can't do anything else for her daughter. Mon is aware of what she has to sacrifice and give up if she's gonna join the rebellion, and it kind of changes our perception of her in Return of the Jedi, knowing that at one point she gave up her family, and not just that, but when Mon tells Vel she has a solution, I'm starting to think it's not Tay Volma she's gonna throw under the bus, but rather her husband Perrin. And naturally that's going to have a knock-on effect against Leida. I don't think we realised just how big and important this scene was. Things are really going to change in Mon Mothma's life. We're probably going to see that a bit next week, but as Tony Gilroy said, it's only in season 2 things really come full circle, things are coming to a head, and in a couple of years she's going to leave the Senate and form the Rebel Alliance. But we cannot underestimate the significance of these foundations. These are the starting points, how it all came about, and the real everyday human effect it has on individuals and their lives. The Andor series is showing us that Mon Mothma wasn't just a rebel leader, but also a human being with a family and a life beforehand, the sacrifice it takes to become a rebel. The Mothma family is deliberately portrayed as complicated, and who would have thought a minor character before the Andor series dropped would be so fascinating on a deeper level. I really hope at some stage they do more with the deleted scenes from Revenge of the Sith, with Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma. Those scenes were phenomenal, I'd love to see them in a flashback. But those are just some of my thoughts, guys. Share yours in the comments down below. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and if you want more videos that you can't find here on YouTube, while also getting your name at the end of the video, then click the link down there in the description. Just before I go, guys, I'm going to plug my second channel, Meg's Cantina. That is where I post my Star Wars music mixes and compositions. My most recent one is taken from The Mandalorian Chapter 2, and it's called To the Jawas. And on the Andor front, I also did a mix for Niamos. Hope you enjoy it. Please go and subscribe if you've not done so. But until the next one, my dear friends, may the Force be with you always.